Hey, perfect spirit. I'm Sam the Miracle Man. Now let's create that miracle, that transformation in your life right here, right now. Because all we know for certain is right here, right now, the present moment. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I talk about getting rid of all this head trash, the stress, the overwhelm, the anxiety, the worry, the fears. All this stuff just needs to be thrown out. It's garbage. It's head trash. So today I want to talk about, what to do if you're really stressed out and overwhelmed with life. Because this is where I lived for over 30 years being stressed out and overwhelmed with life. And that was my catalyst for change. I was dealing with the bipolar, and I was a rapid cycler bipolar. So I could be depressed in the morning, happy an hour later, sad again an hour later, and all over the place. I was having like 4 to 5 shifts a day sometimes, from depression to mania. These really rapid swings was my life. And then I was just really anxious and stressed about life, dealing with that bipolar. So that just created a lot of autoimmune issues, just being so stressed out, making myself sick. So I ended up with psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis when the psoriasis gets into the joints. So, it was in my toes, so it was really painful to walk at times. And I had an itchy skin rash on about a third of my body, and I don't have it now. And just life was always, lots of stress, lots of overwhelm. And eventually, with so much stress, I had the multiple sclerosis. Age 37, worst migraine of my life. Another thing that came, was the stress, was the migraines. So I had the worst migraine of my life. Within a few days, I was unable to walk and in the hospital for about 3 weeks, trying to figure out what was going on with me. So that was my adventures, but I was completely stressed out, overwhelmed with life. I was always listening to my doctors, taking their advice, taking the medicine, but my health was continuing to decline. I was always in the state of what else is going to go wrong. So all I knew was traditional medicine. Is like my doctors had to know what was best for me, yet my health continued to decline through the years. So one day, I read about meditation, and meditation brought inner peace. I'm like, I needed that. I had no concept of healing. That was because to me, I could never heal. I was incurable. Bipolar, multiple sclerosis, psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis, chronic migraines, all that stuff. To me, there was no cure. It was just my lot in life, that destiny was fixed. This is what I was going to be dealing with the rest of my life. And with everything I was reading with MS and the direction my MS was going, I was within years of going into a wheelchair because my health was just continuing to decline. But I turn things around, and that's what I want to relate to you. You can turn things around. That destiny is not fixed. So if you're feeling stressed, you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry about the healing. Don't worry about achieving all these busyness and the to-do lists. Just focus on being at peace in this moment. For peace is the real energy of transformation. Let that sink in. Peace is the energy of transformation. We have to let go of healing, because healing has a lot of baggage to it, and it creates a lot of difficulties, complications. Or letting go of the need to chase the to-do list. As they say in the Bhagavad Gita, focus on the task at hand, not the fruits of your labor. And I never had a spiritual teacher, so I didn't read the Bhagavad Gita until much later, or parts of it. I never read the whole thing, since it's too massive of a volume, but parts of it. Because I was caught up to my spiritual teachings. But we really don't need spiritual teachings. If we get the head trash out of the way, then we have the ultimate spiritual teacher within us. That is perfect spirit. That is the real you. You are perfect spirit, soul, consciousness. And we're the one perfect spirit, the one consciousness. And we're just a point of expression. We're just an element of that. Like, this is the sun, And these different forms are the sun rays, but we're still part of the sun. So you are consciousness, an expression of that consciousness, and always connected to source. It's simply the mind that creates this sense of separation. And we just need to let all that go and realize the best teacher within is within me, that you are your own guru. And we're taught not to trust ourselves, to not have faith in ourselves because of this mental stories, the opinions of others coming at us that we're not worthy or not deserving, that we don't know enough. It's all nonsense because we all have the teacher within us. And it's simply quieting the mind so we can hear our own teacher, that this is our lighthouse, this is our source of light, and it's simply the mind creating this darkness. So the way to get out of stress, overwhelm, is to be in this moment. And the mind doesn't really understand what it means to be in this moment. Being trapped in your thoughts, your opinions, your stories is not being in this moment. When you're aware of your senses, you're in this moment. Where are you standing right now? Is it hard, soft? What does your shoes feel like? What does your feet feel like in your shoes? What are your hands touching right now? What do you hear? What are you touching? When you're engaged with your senses, aware of your sensations, then you're here in this moment. Otherwise, you're lost in the head trash, you're lost in the stories. And the way you get yourself back is just, where are my feet? Where are my hands? What am I touching? And not judging and criticizing yourself. So that's a real intellectual exercise. So I'm going to do a meditation, a practice to let go of the stress, this overwhelm. And this is essentially my practice that I did to heal myself of 5 incurable diseases, ailments, which is simply sitting for 5 minutes a day. So let's do a 2 or 3 minute practice. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes. So we're just sitting here relaxing. We're allowing the eyes to close, to soften, to remove those external stimulations. So just notice if the mind gets distracted, loses its focus from this voice. Then you just come back. Oh, the mind was just thinking about, what I'm going to do for an hour now, what I'm going to have for dinner, what I'm going to have for breakfast, lunch, whatever it may be, or maybe a phone call you have to make, a message you need to send. We let all that go. For right now, this is our self-care practice to come back into our true essence, perfect spirit, consciousness, whatever you wish to call it, universe, source. For you are beyond any labels, any definitions. So if you notice the mind getting lost, you just come back to your sensations. Where are your feet? Where are your hands? What are you touching? What are you seeing? But for this purpose, we're just going to come back to this voice. What's this voice telling you? So notice when you're distracted, come back to the voice. For the voice is here in this moment. Realize you cannot separate this voice from the listener, that we are interconnected in this energy. When you hear this voice, we are one. When you no longer hear this voice or aware of this voice, you're in a state of separation, the division, the busyness. So just simply come back to this voice and realize between the voice and a listener, there is no separation. We are one consciousness. So it's that simple. Notice when you're lost in the story, the thoughts, when you can no longer hear this voice, and just come back. When you come back, you're in a state of oneness again. And when you're in a state of oneness, you're fully empowered, fully in your strength. So we're simply putting those gaps into the thought stream. The more gaps, the more peace, the less stress, the less overwhelm. Because you can't be overwhelmed or stressed unless you're in the mind. Realize that if you're stressed, overwhelmed, you're lost in the story, you're lost in the head trash, you're dragging the past into the present, or you're future guessing. So we just come back to this voice, just being aware of this voice, where we're sitting in time and space. If we're aware of this voice, we are here, we are one. If you do not hear this, we are separate. So now take this voice and feel your feet, feel your hands, mentally touch from your mind's eye to your hands, mentally touch your feet. And just notice how you can bring your attention to different areas of the body because you're not really located in the body, because you are consciousness. And you can direct this attention to different parts of the body that you're not normally aware of, like mentally touch your calf right now, your kneecap, your arms. Just notice how they feel, hot, cold. Maybe you really put your attention into that, the calf, for example, and really place your attention there. You may notice the aliveness, and the more attention you place there, you may notice some heat, that your calf is getting warm because the light within you is the sun, it is the consciousness, it is warm, it is vibrant, it is fully alive. So this is all we're trying to do. Nothing fancy here. It's very simple to wake up to your true self, the awareness, by just listening to this voice, by feeling your feet, by mentally touching certain areas of the body, and just notice that area. Notice the aliveness pouring through there. If you put enough attention, you'll probably notice the heat in that area, the elements. So that's all we're trying to do as we come back to this moment, open our eyes and just bring ourselves back into the body and realize that stress, the overwhelm is gone when you're here. Mission accomplished. You're successful. Celebrate you. All right. Bye for now. Take good care.